Ladies and gentlemen, it is with the greatest pleasure that I present Niggy Tardust.
What's up? This is Axiom for Grounded TV, and this is the first in a three-part series about Saul Williams. Now, before we get too far into this, I want to tell you that we have a contest coming up, and that's for any spoken word artists or MCs to submit their live poetry. And the way to do that is go to the site and upload a video to the Grounded community. Quality's not too important, but as long as we can see and hear you. The prize pack includes a signed copy of the Niggy Tardust tour poster, as well as a copy of the album, and a copy of his book, The Dead MC Scrolls. The winner will also have their spoken word piece videotaped by none other than Sid Woodward from Grounded TV. That is if you can get to Vancouver or live in Vancouver. All videos in by February, please, and we will announce the winner when we broadcast the last episode at the end of February.
Every morning I rise and face the firing squad. Every morning there's one who holds his fire. His dilemma is my system of belief. They fire rounds, but I am seldom in their circle. A quiet mind is labeled sound and colored purple. My little boy has not yet learned to color within lines. His jumbled diction has not yet learned our contradiction. We speak of art with flaming passion, then do work void of compassion, and wonder why reality is bleeding fiction. Well, I mean, poetry is probably one of the most mysterious forces in my life. You know, I never studied poetry in school, per se, as poetry. I studied theater, thus I studied a lot of Shakespeare and, you know, classical writers. I studied hip-hop, and I studied history. Artists like Langston Hughes, Maya Angelou, Nikki Giovanni, Sonia Sanchez, Hakeem Adabuti, Amiri Baraka, people from the Black Arts movement. I studied as a kid, and then my father was a minister, so I studied a lot of ministers. I watched my father study ministers like I studied MCs and their delivery and all that. So all of those worlds kind of converge in me, and so that's where my interest was piqued. I always enjoyed language. But I didn't know that there was a stage set apart from the church, you know, like there is in the world of spoken word and slam poetry. And once I found that stage, you know, I found my voice. Growing up, there were a lot of old ladies in my dad's church who'd be like, I see your love for language. You're going to follow in your father's footsteps. And religion always seemed short-sighted to me. I couldn't understand why I would, you know, why I would isolate myself in a group and say, oh, we're chosen, but you're not. That didn't strike me as anything that God would come up with. It struck me as something man-made. And I saw it as a force separating us rather than a force bringing us together, so I never wanted to identify with that. But the stages that I found through poetry and through open mics and what have you was a space where I could, you know, simply express, you know, the love that I feel and the unity that I feel in synergized expression, you know, and it opened me up. And I realized, I guess, early on the power of language and tuning into that through writing and expressing myself took me to unforeseen places, and it continues to do so. You know, like when this tour ends next week, I go to Vienna for a poetry festival, and then I go to Israel for another poetry festival, and poetry has taken me to so many countries, such as those, all the time, opened so many doors for me. It's because of poetry that I got a record deal to record music. That's why Rick Rubin approached me. That's how I got a book deal. That's how I ended up doing my film Slam. Like, poetry is surreal in my life, and I always go back to the John Keats poem where he says, poets are the midwives of reality. And it brings me back to the realization that, you know, I believe we hold an infinite power within us, each and every one of us, and that we all have an opportunity to tune into it by tuning into ourselves and through breathing and disciplines like meditation and monitoring your diet, which isn't only what you eat, but what you read, what you listen to, and what have you, and what you watch, all of those things, and then what you say. And poetry is my way of watching what I say.
Because I am and always will be that nigga. I am that nigga. I am that nigga. I'm that timeless nigga that swings on pendulums like vines through minds of booby-trapped minds that are enslaved by time. I'm the life that supersedes lifetimes. I am. It was me with serpentine hair and a timeless stare that with a mortal glare to a mortal fair in the stone time capsules. They still exist as the walking dead as I do. The original sufferhead, symbol of life and matriarchy, seven-head Medusa. I am. It was me, the ecclesiastical one, that pointed out that there was nothing new under the sun. And through times of laughter and times of tears, so that no times are real times, because all times are fear. The wise seer Solomon, I am. It was me with tattered clothes that made you scatter as you shuffled past me on the street. Yes, you shuffled past me on the street as I stood there conversing with wind-blown spirits. And I fear it's your loss, you didn't stop and talk to me. I could have told you your future as I explained your present, but instead, I'm the homeless, schizophrenic reason for being aimless, the entombed nameless. I am that nigga. I am that nigga.
That was March 16th, 1995, at a place called the Brooklyn Moon Cafe. And I recited the first poem I'd written, which was called Amethyst Rocks, which is what my first album is titled after, Amethyst Rockstar. And while I was reciting that poem, I felt connected in a way I hadn't. You know, I was in grad school for acting at the time, and I pretty much was certain all my life that that's what I was going to do. I'll just be acting. And I never thought that I'd be reciting my own words. I always thought I'd be reciting somebody else's words, but that day, I had finished writing that poem that day. And everything changed from that. I mean, yeah, when I got up, there was no stage in that room. It was a cafe, like like Second Cup or Blends or something. You know, it was a cafe. But when I finished reading, somebody asked me to if I would open up for Allen Ginsberg at NYU. Someone else asked me if I'd open up for Amiri Barak and Sonia Sanchez at another college, Medgar Evers College. Someone else asked me if I'd open for The Roots at SOB. Someone else asked me if I'd open for The Last Poets and Gil Scott-Heron at another spot called The Wetlands. Someone else asked me if I'd open up for the Fugees and KRS-One at this thing called Rock Against Racism in Union Square in New York. I had one poem. I had read it one time, and that's what happened. And so from then on, it was you know, my life was transformed.
I stand on the corner of the block slinging amethyst rocks, drinking 40s of Mother Earth's private nectar stock, dodging cops, cause 50B the 666, and I need a fix of that purple rain, the type of shit that drives membranes insane. Oh yeah, I'm in the fast lane, snorting candy yams that free my body and soul and send me like Shazam. Never question who I am, God knows, and I know God personally. In fact, he lets me call him me. Yeah, I'm serious, B. Doggone niggas plotted shit lovely, but the feds is also plotting me. They're trying to imprison my astrology, put our stars behind bars, our stars in stripes, using blood-splattered banners as nationalist kites. But I control the wind, that's why they call it the hawk. I am Horus, son of Isis, son of Osiris, worshipped as Jesus, resurrected like Lazarus. But you can call me lazy. Yeah, I'm lazy because I'd rather sit and build than work a plow a field, worshiping a daily yield of cash green crops. Stealing us was the smartest thing they ever did. Too bad they don't teach the truth to their kids. Our influence on them is the reflection they see when they look into their minstrel mirror and talk about their culture. Their existence is that of a schizophrenic vulture. Yeah, there's no repentance. They are bound to live an infinite consecutive executive life sentence. So what are you bound to live, nigga? So while you're out there serving the time and I'll be in sync with the sun while you run from the moon. Life of the womb reflected by guns. Worship of moons, I am the sun, and we are public enemies number one. One.
Put your mama on the phone. You can't say that girl nigga grown. What your daddy gon' do? He can't deny, but he know true. What the preacher gon' say? Preacher can't say shit, girl, the preacher gay. What your granny gon' do? She can't deny the truth. Hey, Niggy taught us here to stay. Paint him on your lunchbox or your thermos forfeit. You might win the chance to hang with Niggy for a day. Side effects may include simply doing what you say.